with Anakin, you guys were saying that he had a choice. His choice was basically in his mind made for him. He had to go and do Order 66 because he believed that that was going to save his loved one.
That's
Because
selfish.
he was weak-minded and
Right.
easily manipulated by Sidious.
Sam,
Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. Well,
Easily.
Sidious clouded
think
his
Anakin
mind
was
at a
selfish.
young age.
Everything Anakin did was for selfish gain.
Right. Yeah. So
very
basically,
true.
That's
like,
what I'm
well,
looking
like
for.
basically, we could say that Sidious is a predator for one.
Mm-hmm.
Luring young children.
who suffered the most?
I think I'm gonna go with Itachi.
I think Anakin is a simp. Why is Thor on the list?
I'll even put Batman at the bottom of this list.
Oh, my therapist is gonna have a field day.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
But we need to talk about who suffered the most. Who had the most agony in their storyline? Let's just go ahead and keep this to 4 for right now, just to make this a little bit simpler. So we're going to do Itachi, Batman, Thor, and Anakin Skywalker.
So who suffered the most out of those 4 guys? You know what I really find difficult about this question? It's not an easy answer, is because, you know, when you think of where they ended up, especially Anakin and Itachi, you know, they're depicted as bad guys for so long, and then we really find out in the end the pain and suffering that they went through. I think everybody on this list has lost somebody or something that they love, but for me, if I'm gonna pick, I think I'm gonna go with Itachi.
Why would you say that? Why are you going for Itachi?
Because when I'm thinking about Itachi's story, and I'm thinking of how they initially rolled him out to everybody, you had him as the villain. He lost his entire clan, right? And then you find out that he was chosen to do this by the government. You know, it was a secret. But he had to literally take out his entire clan as a secret. He had to kill his parents in order to protect his brother, but then also protect his secret.
Aunts, uncles.
I mean, just everybody, his entire village, and it was at his hands. Every single scream and death and drop of blood was by his kunai. That's tough, and then to do it with the entire mindset of it's for the greater good of the elite village, and for you to be a stone cold killer and just keep that up, man. That's a whole different mindset.
I don't know, but I mean, the family earned it though, didn't they? I mean, I get it. You know, you kill your family, but they kind of earned it though, didn't they?
We're running a coup, but yeah, I mean, still, he had to carry it out.
But who
Like,
decided
so,
that?
okay.
The village or
So
your family?
I agree with what you're saying, and that is rough. I think for anybody having to go and kill their parents and to do what he had to do, especially for the entire Uchiha clan, you know, basically performing genocide is like, wow. And to have the ability to do it is just astounding. Here we go. Speaking of ability and having to go through with it, Anakin Skywalker, dude behind me, went in to the Jedi Council and annihilated under Execute Order 66 and went in and killed younglings. My dude had to destroy little children with his lightsaber.
But Itachi was dragged onto the battlefield by his father at 4 and caught a body at that age.
Yep.
And what does that do to the psyche? You know what I mean? Like, I think Anakin chose that. Anakin chose that path because he didn't have to execute Order 66. I think
He did. I mean, I would have to differ, but I'll wait. No, it's all right.
But Itachi's choice was, I don't know, man. I think Itachi's choice was between the village and the family. He would have had to do something nefarious either way.
But if you catch your
What were you
first
gonna say,
body,
Justin?
if you catch your first body at the age of 4, doesn't that make you know, like, all your feelings towards killing after that point null and void?
Yeah, he was pretty numb to me.
I mean, that's an excellent point. And so here we go. At a young age, right? Anakin Skywalker, who did not know anything about that world, this dude was a slave. Catching a body, at least he had a father. This dude had no father. In fact, he was just created by the Force. So he was raised by his mommy, and while he was raised, all he knew was being a slave. Anakin was a slave. Anakin was.
Yep.
But
slave
how was he created
his
from
whole-
the Force though? Like,
Oh wait,
he's
are
still
you?
a Sith.
Do you
He's
want
still
me
a
to
Sith,
do
though.
this?
No, we don't want you to. You
Hold
don't
up.
have to put it on,
Let's
but
go.
I mean,
Anakin had the Mary story.
Why do you say Anakin's a Sith?
Because he's talking about the symphony. He's just making it.
because his name is Simp. He's crying in the background, and based off of all the movies and him sizzling on that one planet after getting his butt whooped, I thought he was a simp. But I don't think his pain was as actually. You know what? His arms did get chopped off. His skin was like turned into
Pain
Not
and
e-
suffering.
not
are two
even
different
that.
things. Pain
No,
and
Looks like
suffering
some
are
beef
two different
jerky back
things.
here.
Hold on,
Yeah,
Justin.
Beef jerky.
Justin, what do you want to say?
Not even that. With Anakin, you guys were saying that he had a choice. His choice was basically in his mind made for him. He had to go and do Order 66 because he believed that was going to save his loved ones.
Because he was weak-minded and
Right.
easily manipulated by Sidious.
Simp.
Oh
Easily.
wait, hold on, wait.
Easily.
Well, Sidious clouded his
Anakin
mind
was
at a
selfish.
young age.
Everything Anakin did was for selfish gain.
Right. Yeah. So
Mm.
basically,
So,
that's
like,
what I'm
well,
really
like
true.
basically, we could say that Sidious is a predator for one. Lori young What was the casino to him? What was you gonna casino to him?
Wow.
Yeah, no, and
But, like,
he even
for-
said to him when
like-
he was young too. He's like, "I look forward to your career with great interest." While he was like little
Oh,
boy,
gosh.
like,
Was
ew.
he really?
Pause.
Yeah. And then to say he doesn't have a father, sure, he didn't, like, he doesn't know his birth father, but he had Qui-Gon Jinn, which he got Qui-Gon Jinn killed. Let's be real about that. He got Qui-Gon Jinn killed, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi, who, even though they considered him a brother to him, it's a big gap in age right there. Like, he was
I'll
taken
say
care
that-
of, and he had to be
Yeah.
in his 20s by then.
I'll say this.
You are
I
my
think-
brother,
I
Anakin.
think Anakin
But wait,
endured
but-
the most pain, right? Pain is temporary. Suffering is optional.
Yep.
When we're talking about suffering, we're talking
Whoa,
about
whoa.
That's deep.
I was like suffering. Whoa. All right. Like I'm like
Bars.
pain. I mean, there's a difference
Bars.
between
there's
a difference between
So,
pain and suffering,
think-
but
I think-
suffering is optional. Oh, my therapist is gonna have a field day.
Yeah,
with this
yeah.
one.
I'd have a field day with that
You
one.
don't have to suffer.
Ugh.
You suffer if you choose to. So
Have
Anakin
to-
is suffering because he was on this selfish path to get what he wanted, right? The physical pain, the burn, you losing your limbs, right? That's pain. I get it. We're talking about suffering, which is optional because you're choosing to, not change your situation. So for me, I'm thinking of, like I said, Itachi, because at no point did he come and tell the truth. At no point did he come and say, yo, Sasuke, this is what's really going on. When I think of Thor, Thor's situation, and I'll let Flashmaster explain why Thor's on this list. But I think Thor's situation is another one that's like, that's tough.
Why is Thor on the list?
That's what I'm saying.
So the only reason why I suggested putting Thor on this list is he may not have the most suffering, like, out of everyone, but he has suffered a lot. Because, like, for one, he lost his brother how many times? He lost his dad. He had to murder his sister by forcing Ragnarok, which destroyed his world. He lost an eye. He lost his mom.
What you're
It's all
saying
family
is,
stuff,
what
yo.
you're-
So
what you're
basically,
saying-
he had to do family stuff.
He lost.
Yeah, but yeah, like that's what I'm saying.
And he
Like,
killed
basically,
children.
when it came to Thor, like, you're basically saying, like, he's just like any other human being. He suffered loss in his life,
Yep.
and he just basically has to deal with it. And him killing, hell, he didn't even know about his sister prior to that. So that's
That was a hidden
Well,
secret.
Well, no, he
I
knew
think-
about his sister whenever that she was his sister.
easily forgotten once she's been
Easy.
locked up.
So
for
let me
thousands
throw
of
a
years.
suffering part into there for Thor. Thor: Love and Thunder.
Jane Foster.
Jane Foster becomes Thor. Okay, she has the broken hammer. Okay, and that's the only thing keeping her alive. Now, this is the love of his life. This is the one that he fell for. But the hammer's killing her slowly as well. I think that one was more of a suffrage for him than any of the other things, because he's watching her
Having to
slowly
watch her
sacrifice
die.
herself and die by
can
trying
I-
to save people.
Can someone remind me with Thor whether or not he remembered or knew whether or not she had cancer?
He didn't find out until
You didn't find out until like
Okay.
Love and Thunder.
Reconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah, during
and then-
Love and Thunder, he found
Yeah.
out.
And now Batman, right? Batman only knew his two parents, so he lost his entire world.
Oh, like the wealthy child who has all the money in the world.
I'm
And
saying-
it's like,
And that's why he wouldn't be.
I'm sorry, Nas, but Batman is on the
so-
bottom of my list.
So
for that
let me,
one.
and you know what? As a huge Batman fan, I'll even put Batman at the bottom of this list. Like, bro, you lost both of your parents as a child, and you were traumatized by that to the point that you said, "I will not let any other child suffer." You're not you went through pain, but you're not necessarily suffering. You just don't want to deal with your trauma.
Mhm.
I think between
Very
Batman
well
and
said.
Thor, I'm thinking maybe Thor had the most prosperity after all of his loss. Like he was able to move on and still be pretty jovial. You know, I think Batman's entire demeanor and personality changed. But again, like I said earlier, I think that's optional. Batman didn't have to be so stoic and just.
Thor grew up knowing that they were all headed to Valhalla. That's the whole point of their existence, was to fight and die on the battlefield. So death to him was not a huge deal. That's why I think Batman was more affected as far as suffering than Thor was.
I'd argue
Now,
that.
when it came,
Okay, so
yeah,
you say
I'd argue that
Thor's
too.
at the bottom of the list, Andy? You saying that?
I would say
at the
Thor's
bottom?
at the bottom of the
I would
list.
have
The only
Thor at the bottom
suffrage
five.
that he
Okay.
really felt, the only two times that he ever really felt suffering was Jane Foster, and then watching Loki die.
Oh yeah.
I also
And
forgot to mention
Which time?
two more things
On the
that
ship.
he had to suffer. Well, not suffer, but deal with. He lost one of his really good friends,
Yeah.
Iron Man, after the snap, and also he lost all that time with Cap as well.
Who's the gentleman that's all seeing? Heidelham? What's his name
Heimdall.
again?
Heimdall.
Heimdall.
Yeah.
So Heimdall,
His brother.
and his brother from another brother.
Technically.
Yeah, and also his crew that used to always hang out with, his best friends that he grew up with. He lost all of them. To me, I think Thor at least needs to be at least, if not third, second on that list. Here's why: it's because Thor, technically, because he's a god. And the idea of going to Valhalla after fighting a great fight and dying on the battlefield is a thing. He doesn't know anything about this thing called cancer. There was no, I'm a god, I'm fine, I'll die if I get my head cut off, whatever. I'm this. He's watching the love of his life die. He's trying to say that there's a way to fix this, right? And he's not really.
I mean, but he didn't know until she presented that to
Reconnected.
him. He split himself off from her world and her in general. So
Right.
like that's on him. That's not suffering. You didn't suffer until you decided to be back in her life, and then she decides to pick up the hammer, and now she's suffering, but she has a little bit longer to live.
I would disagree
I have a
just a
question
little bit,
for
Nas,
Mr.
and this is why I would say I disagree a little bit. And this is because he still suffered, because no matter where he went, every movie you watch him, there's a little reference to her here and there,
Always.
and you can see
Always.
how it affects him. So he did suffer by leaving her, but he
And-
thought
okay,
it was the
so-
best thing he could do.
Now follow me for just this quick second. Thor is a god, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we're
God.
talking about, especially in Viking lore, if you're fighting, you're trying to get to Valhalla, you want to die on the battlefield.
Of course.
Mhm.
As a god, wouldn't you know if Valhalla exists or not? You really think about that.
I'm gonna let y'all.
I mean, because it's not talked about too much in the comics, if we went into the mythology, they absolutely know that Valhalla is where they're supposed to go.
Yeah.
Because at that point, like once Ragnarok begins, the warriors of Valhalla will be the ones in battle.
But that's the point. Is not everyone gets to go to Valhalla. It's only the
Right.
warriors.
Only those
Right,
that die
but-
in battle.
So
Okay.
And if you take that as an example, and you look at Jane Foster, right? She's not of Norse mythology, so to speak, right? She's human. She's terrestrial, right? This is different. He knows that. Damn, because you're human, you're not going to live as long as me, but something's going to happen to you, so I have to disappear from the situation. It's kind of like it's a very relatable situation. It's about hey, I have a long distance relationship. Can this relationship work? Is there a connection? No, there isn't a connection. But then when you finally come back and you realize that somebody's sick, there is an emotional part of it that's like, God damn, I wish there's something I could do. But I see you wielding that hammer, but you showing me yourself in your true self being very sick. And not to be a tearjerker, but as a person who's a cancer survivor, people see me in that position actually hurt more because I'm seeing them suffer. So then, relating to Thor looking at Jane Foster in that phase, he probably got knocked down so many different levels because he's like, this is very real. She's not going necessarily to Valhalla. She's going to be no more. He doesn't know what else to expect. But then again, obviously, if you guys see the movies, you know that there is actually more to this story.
That probably shut down why Thor is on the bottom. Is there anything that says in the comics at any point that if you're a god and you choose to love a human, I know I think there's something in Hotel Transylvania somewhere where it's like once you pick somebody, what is it? I blinged.
A zing. Yeah, that zing.
Zing. Okay, I see.
Zing.
Okay, if you don't think in the Marvel world, is it a possibility that Thor could fall in love with somebody else?
Yes, but that happens in all like comic book and anime and
all
whatever.
I'm saying is,
even still,
talk about Jane Foster. I get it. He loved her. That's maybe the first love of his life on that level. I'm not knocking that whatsoever. But it's possible for Thor to move on.
Okay.
I think I see where he's going with this.
Has everyone gotten their rocks off yet? Can I interject?
By all means, please do.
Before you do,
Before
you do, let me just at least get this off, okay? So, to proper to what he was talking about, as far as in the reference of Thor having to deal with the thought of losing this girl and where she's gonna go, Valhalla, what have you, and not being able to. Anakin was shown premonitions over and over and over of his loved one with his child in the womb dying all the time at random moments. These premonitions.
His mother too.
And his mother.
But
that came true. He suffered in his dreams for years.
I feel like we can
So
attribute
I'm just
that
saying,
to
like,
him
imagine
being-
if Thor saw what's her name dying all the time in his dreams, and the fact that he knows that they come true. That's true suffer. I'm sorry, yo, but I put Anakin above Thor.
So I let you all get your points off. That's cool. Awesome. I don't care about your list. My choice is Meliodas. Now Meliodas checks all of the boxes.
I'm gonna full counter that one, mother.
He has had to watch his loved one, Elizabeth, the angel Elizabeth,
died for thousands of years over and over again.
He's had to be there, and while every time it happened, he lost an emotion. So as she's continuously dying, he's becoming less and less of himself. So you want to talk about suffering?
Could he just stop loving
That's
her?
suffering.
Well, actually, him becoming less and less of himself was a good thing, considering he was the son of the Demon King.
So what does that mean? So
Because he had a heart. He had a heart by the time we saw him. And spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen the show, but by the time we see him finally kill Elizabeth and have a child, he has a heart. And now he's no longer suffering because
we're not talking. So you're talking about the end. You're talking about the end. You're going to skip to the end, as opposed to the witnessing your loved one die.
The process.
We're talking about the suffering. We're not talking about the ending.
And Itachi suffered all the way through to the end.
And I didn't deny that. I'm not arguing Itachi. I'm arguing everyone else.
I don't think Thor. I think Thor's on the bottom.
I disagree. I think Batman has to go on the bottom.
To move on. He's had multiple chances
because he's a god.
Had a good personality. He has the most power.
Agreed.
Of anybody.
He
has that good personality because he has that blocking of not letting it show. I think Batman is on the bottom of that one.
He's only lost two people.
That's a good question.
Batman only lost.
Yeah, Batman's only lost two people, and Thor lost his entire world. He caused the reason why this world is gone is because of him.
Right, because you know what it's called? It's called infatuation. He was a fanatic about the situation because he lost his parents. He thought, you know what, I'm going to make a difference.
I wouldn't personally say that he suffered long. He suffered in his childhood, sure, but by the time he was an adult, he had just made a decision. He was completely convicted.
Are you talking about
similar to Anakin making a decision?
No, let me say this. I think Batman and Thor's story is a lot of people's stories. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
A lot of people didn't have to kill their entire clan.
Right. We lose people that we love. There's orphans out there.
Not a lot of people had to
We
kill
lost
younglings.
parents. And Itachi's stories are very rare and very unique. And I think with having to go through the things that they went through in order to get to the end, those are a lot harder for me. Like Itachi lost his entire clan, and
By his own hand.
That to me is, and to carry it out, that's a lot. Anakin killing the younglings, Anakin having to go through, and then knowing those dreams that are real, that he's gonna lose his wife, he's lost his mind, he's like his kids.
Hell, I would have said that Yoda suffered more than Anakin, because like whenever like all the younglings and all the Jedi were getting killed, you saw
Yoda felt it. Yoda felt it.
We've already established that Thor and Batman are at the bottom of the list. Okay,
Batman's at the bottom.
They're at the bottom too. Okay, so the question was still who suffered more. So when we get down to Itachi,
Stop.
Anakin.
I mean, I would have to say Itachi.
So we got 3 for Itachi.
I would. I'd give it to Itachi. I would.
I think one last Itachi point. He also had to kill the love of his life, and he was kind enough to put her in a genjutsu so that she lived into old age and thought that she died from old age.
That's deep.
Itachi Retsudan.
Yeah.
Good point.
That is deep.
So just to be clear,
Well
and
played. He saved it to the end. He saved it to the end with a boss move.
Yeah. That's the wild card, man.
I would drop this mic, but it's connected to the desk.
So Andy, would you agree? So Itachi's number 1.
You know what?
Is Anakin number 2 or is he number 3?
You know what?
Anakin too.
I'm gonna do one up on you, Brian.
Sure.
Let's let our viewers decide. We think it's Itachi and Anakin. We all have our feelings on who's at the top of that list. We want to hear what you guys have to say. We want to hear what you all have to say. Leave us a comment down below. Like and subscribe for our next episode.
You would have felt it. If it, I'd say that he'd be a better candidate over Anakin. But here, let me.
You can't say that. No.
Anakin's still a sim. What are you talking about? All he had is crispy stuff like Doritos.
Stop.
No.
Stop.
Suffered, I did.